Welcome back, everybody. This is QuestionMarc,
And I'm Ame.
and today we are back for another Commander tier list. Today we are looking at the cards from the upcoming Hobbit set, but specifically the ones that are not in the standard set, all the extras. And we have these 5 tiers, which I think we've been over enough times in our other videos, but for people who haven't seen any of our other videos...
I believe that they more or less speak for themselves, but to keep it brief, excited to build deck out of this. High potential, questionable, better in the 99, and lame.
Cards
And we're
that
dredging
are...
them strictly as commanders.
Yeah, so these could be good in draft or limited, these could be good, you know, in other formats or something, but I'm only looking at from the Commander format, and if it's lame, then I think it doesn't really make sense in Commander. Better in the 99, you know, it's just better in Commander than it is as a Commander. Questionable might mean that it like lacks some elements, or that, you know, it's kind of yet to see if the pieces come together. It's going to be maybe a weird build. High potential should be where you want most of your commanders that you actually build to be. These are the ones that are clearly strong, and then excited are the ones that specifically spark joy.
With us.
Yes.
Much more opinion-based than the others.
So the first one we are looking at today is Bard, Heir of Girion.
And he's not a bard. He is a human archer.
Right.
For 2 mana, a white and a blue. You get a 4/4 Reacher with Vigilance.
Mm-hmm.
Other creatures you control get +1/+1, and whenever you attack, draw a card.
Well, let's see. You know what? On the one hand, this doesn't look terribly exciting. You know, this is not a lot of text. This is not telling you to do anything particularly interesting. You're not building around archers or humans or creatures with reach or anything fancy like that. It is not telling you to jump through hoops. It is telling you to play creatures and attack. And it honestly though, like, first, I mean, look at the vanilla test here. We've been over the vanilla test before.
Yep. We're getting 4 mana for a 4/4, so passes.
Yeah.
And we've got Reach and Vigilance, so keywords bring it up a little extra hard.
Mm-hmm.
And these are very low... I mean, other creatures you control get +1/+1. That's nothing but useful.
Mm-hmm.
And attacking to draw a card, that's a very low barrier of entry. So even though it's not particularly exciting, this looks very solid.
Yeah, honestly, it's hard for me to say anything less than high potential. It does seem a little boring.
My only criticism of it is that it doesn't really give you a win condition, but that could, depending on how you build your decks, that could be a good thing. You might want to have the primary strategy... You might want to have your strategy worked out in the 99 rather than determined by the commander. It gives you some flexibility. Mm-hmm. But, you know...
Yeah, and
there's nothing wrong with this.
With an ability like other creatures you control get +1/+1, it seems like the optimal way to do it would be to have the most number of creatures, lots and lots of 1/1s, something like that, and then that will optimize that benefit where, you know, you'll get it doubling the power and toughness of each of your creatures, and over the course of a lot of bodies. That should be pretty obvious, honestly. But yeah, it doesn't seem particularly interesting. What I'm really curious about, though, is I know that a lot of the cards that are not in the standard set, like Bilbo this one and Gandalf this one, are from a scene box. I honestly don't know what this version of Baird and this version of Bilbo and all that kind of stuff are from.
Bard, not Baird. There's no
Baird.
I.
Baird is this guy. The Steward of Argive. It's the same but different, but Bard. So I know that there aren't commander decks, so it's not that. And there isn't a Jumpstart product as far as I know. I don't know if there's welcome decks, and if so, these are multicolor, so that wouldn't make sense. I don't know what product this is from. Good luck! But I'm sure you can find them in collector boosters. That said, I think we're gonna just move on.
Yep, we're not worrying about it too much today.
This is the Bilbo from the scene box, where they're all having their good meal at the beginning.
And he's extremely skeptical of what's going on, not least of all because Gandalf invited, what?
11?
He invited 11 dwarves over to his house for dinner!
I believe he says that 13 is a lucky number to him, and when you add Bilbo, you have 13. So it's Gandalf, Bilbo, and 11 more dwarves.
And Bilbo's like, Ganondorf.
Ganondorf! Oh no,
Gandalf?
He's got the Triforce of Power.
Gandalf, I love you, but I was planning on having a nice quiet evening at home, not having a whole dinner party.
I'm sure that as a fairly wealthy hobbit, you've got dinner for 12 or 13 just somewhere in your pantry, right?
I still had to prepare all of that.
Well,
I don't have a cook. I cook.
Well, Bilbo, fellow conspirator, does what?
For 2 mana and a green, you get a 2/3 halfling citizen. If you would create a food token, instead create a food token and a treasure token.
Okay, so this one excited me for a minute, because I know that Ame here has a deck based around Brennard.
Ah, yes, the ginger sculptor.
Yeah, and he's got some cool stuff going on. This is a very fun deck. And whenever another non-token creature you control dies, you may exile it. If you do, create a token that's a copy of it, except it's a food golem with all this stuff. So cool. I figured if you brought Bilbo out, then great. Whenever you would make one of those food tokens, you'll make it and a treasure, right?
Wrong.
So this is a replacement effect that replaces you with any other action of creating a food, with instead creating a normal food token and a normal treasure token.
So it non-bows with Brennard, so
Yeah,
don't get too excited.
It actually replaces the making a copy that's a 1/1 golem with that stuff. So
Bilbo, you are not helping the gingerbread army.
No. But if you have a deck that's making normal food tokens, then this would be fine. Just also don't play it in your Shelob decks, because this Shelob is also one that makes very special food tokens, and it'll replace those too. Same thing with Academy Rector, I think is the one. Nope.
The Academy thingy.
Academy
it's the red one.
Manufactor, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
If you would create a clue, food, or treasure, instead create one of each. Well, if you have a special food, then it will replace it with a normal food. So don't put these... Keep that in mind, anyone. Now, granted, this is a really good effect. Food tokens are okay, but treasure tokens are great. So if you do have a green deck... so actually, then that brings up the question, where does Bilbo fit? I think he's better in the 99.
Yeah.
If you have a food deck that makes normal foods, I think he's great. I don't think he's a very good commander, in part because of something I've said in a number of videos. He's monocolor. He's just green. So he just does one thing, and this one thing is pretty good, but you can't build a whole deck around just one thing like that.
Right.
But let's move on to another Bilbo, Unexpected Adventurer.
For 3 mana and a white, you get a 2/2 halfling rogue. He's gone from citizen to rogue. Bilbo can't be blocked by creatures with power 3 or greater. Whenever Bilbo deals combat damage to a player or battle, put up to 1 target non-land permanent card with mana value 3 or less from a graveyard onto the battlefield under its owner's control.
Okay, first thing I want to talk about here is that I think that we've seen multiple cards in this set that reference player or battle, and that gets me concerned. Because we haven't seen battles since, let's say Invasion of Eldraine.
Oh,
Yeah.
jeez.
We haven't seen them since March of the Machine, which was in, 2023, so it's been about 3 years. This is a type of card, not a subtype like Aura or a super type like Snow. This is a type like Artifact or Enchantment. And the sieges specifically behave this way, where you give them to your opponent in terms of they defend it, but you still control it. And then it does a thing, and then if the 4, whatever counters on it are removed, I think they're defense counters, then it transforms into the thing on the other side, which is usually pretty good. So that's neat and all. But
It looks like we're going to have some of those in this set if battles keep being referenced.
I thought that we might see some battles in this set, and yet I don't think that we have.
What?
So is this maybe setting up for a future where we get battles coming back soon? And they're just like, hey, throw battle in there so that the battles work on more things. Maybe. I mean, the last part of this book is called The Battle of Five Armies.
Yeah.
So I figured that maybe they include a battle that's the Battle of Five Armies. To my knowledge, they did not. So I don't know what they're doing with battles, but they're kind of foreshadowing here. Also, this is another example of something that bugs me, which is keywords but not keywords. All right, I'm going to... Okay, actually, maybe I should put this guy on the tier list before going off on a diatribe here.
Yeah.
But this is a shorter video, considering there's only 15 here, so forgive me if I go on a bit of a diatribe. But, okay, how good is this guy actually? I mean, 4 mana for a 2/2 is pretty bad. Can't be blocked by big creatures is okay. And hitting someone and getting back a small permanent card is also just okay.
Because thievery.
Yeah, I think as a commander, this guy's not that good. Once again, because he's mono white.
Yeah.
I think he reminds me of Sun Titan. He has the Sun Titan ability of repeatedly returning a permanent card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield.
He's a tiny titan!
Tiny Titan! Definitely not a teen, though. He's like 50 or something?
At least. Hobbits live for quite a while.
Yeah, I think he's like 50 when he goes on this adventure. But in any case, Sun Titan, while it comes out quite a bit, well, actually only 2 turns later, it has that trigger when it enters and when it attacks. Bilbo has to deal combat damage to a player, which is one of the more difficult things to do.
But he's assisted by the fact that he can't be blocked by big guys. And
Yes.
And your opponents are going to favor putting out big guys, generally speaking, unless they have a token army.
But honestly, it's kind of easy to have a 1/1 here and a 2/2 there, here 1, here 2, everywhere a 1/2. And just, either chump block this guy or whatever. This plan is not very reliable, and I don't want to put him in questionable, honestly, either, because I don't think that there really are the tools in white to make it super worth it. I'm thinking probably better in the 99 again.
Agreed.
Because I think that there are some decks with, like, Savine's Reclamation and stuff where getting him... There might be a Hobbit deck, or maybe even a Rogue deck that includes white, like a party deck or something where he's the Rogue, that could be better. But I just think that in mono white, you're too stuck.
Yeah, no.
But
Sorry, my guy.
Here's the thing that bugs me. He has Skulk, but not Skulk. So if we look at... I think there's a version of Gollum that has Skulk.
Yeah, yes. He does.
So Gollum has Skulk, which is this creature can't be blocked by creatures with greater power, which is great. And Bilbo also can't be blocked by creatures with greater power, because power 3 or greater is greater power.
I guess this product is being... I guess the anticipation is that it's going to be new players that are seeking this, so they want to, lower the barrier of entry, which is fair.
Maybe. This
but
card
then again,
is pretty simple.
you could accomplish that with some reminder text.
Yeah,
but would it fit on the expanded art?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Look at how big that text is, that big font. They could easily have done exactly what they did on Gollum here, because as long as you include the reminder text, then you have not made anything more complicated. If anything, you've made it easier because you've provided a memorization tactic here. Like, you're gonna see Skulk on other cards and recognize, oh, that's the same ability. Not to mention that the Ring Tempts You also gives an ability that is exactly the same thing as Skulk, but they don't call it Skulk.
I think I just figured something out here.
What's that?
The reason they didn't give Bilbo Skulk is because he's not supposed to be able to be blocked by creatures with power 3 or greater, but if you increase... Which sounds exactly the same as Skulk, but it isn't. Because if you place counters, or if Bilbo's power is boosted some way, then if it was Skulk, then he couldn't be blocked by anything, by anything above that. But here, we're capping it at 3.
So that's true. If you do put some equipment on him or something, then he can become pretty big, and then he still can't be blocked by the same size creature, whereas Gollum, his evasion gets worse if you grow him, so you want to keep his evasion, his power small, actually. So that is mechanically different. However, I think that when it comes to, like, balancing the card, they could have literally done one or the other, and they chose this version. And I don't like it. It's something that Wizards did for a long, long time, and I kept saying, if you're going to print something that's effectively Skulk, just print Skulk. If you're going to print something that's effectively Landfall, just print Landfall. And they've been doing that more, but not consistently. Landfall, by the way, is in this set on a lot of elves. And they actually called it Landfall, whereas there's a few sets where they didn't. So, it bugs me. Let's move on.
Jury must be out about what to do that for the future, for the foreseeable future.
I thought that it was a difference between standard sets and non-standard sets, but then they keep bending that rule, so now I don't know. But the next on our list is Bulge. Or Bolg.
Bolg. It's Bolg.
I don't know.
I swear it's Bolg.
I'm sure you're right. Erebor's Reckoning. I just think it'd be funny to have... my commander's name is Bulge.
Well, even if there was an E on the end of that, it would be Bolga.
Perhaps. What does he do?
For 4 mana, a black and a red, you get a 6/6 goblin soldier with trample. Oh, very nice. At the beginning of each combat, other goblins and orcs you control get +2/+2 until end of turn. Creatures your opponents control get -1/-1 until end of turn.
Okay, this...
That's nasty.
This is sick. This is at least going in high potential. I'm debating putting it up even higher. On the one hand, an orc deck starring this guy would be pretty badass, except he's not an orc, so it'd be a little weird for a goblin to be leading an orc deck. Granted, his ability affects other creatures anyway, so...
Goblins and orcs smash everything, and then maybe smash each other.
His hatred for dwarves smoldered for years after they killed his father Azog. When they killed the Great Goblin, the embers became ablaze.
Alright, that's it.
Now I'm mad. Kill my dad, shame on me. Kill my other dad, shame on you.
Like, you took one and you had to take that. That's it, we're going to war. I don't know what you were expecting.
And obviously, way passing the vanilla test here, 6 mana, 6/6 trample with abilities that are pure upside.
And in black and red. Trample is normally a green thing.
Yeah, you don't see trample that often outside of green. You do see it sometimes, but it's rare, so it's nice to be here. And then, like, honestly, burying the lead, this ability is the sickest shit.
Yes, it is.
To finally drop a curse in this video here, because this is a deck where you can put in it Maha, Its Feathers Knight. If you could read that for us. Yeah, beautiful card.
6/5 elemental bird with flying, trample, and ward, discard a card. Creatures your opponents control have base toughness 1. Oh my god, if you paired that with Bolg, board wipe.
Yep, every time
2-card board wipe.
At the beginning of each combat, whether you attack or not, whether he has summoning sickness or not, if Maha's on the battlefield, all your opponent's creatures die. Even if they have protection from black, even if they have indestructible, even if they have shroud, hexproof, none of that matters.
There is no shield from Bolg, Erebor's Reckoning.
I think the only thing you could do is phase it out, and even then, it would just, like, not be around, and then when it comes around... If it's on the battlefield during combat, it'll die. So Maha, Its Feathers Knight is clearly one of the strongest cards to put in here. The other thing is, of course, it being a 2-color commander, you've got lots of options. But goblins, oh my god, goblins have much support in Magic. Okay, you know what? The thing that puts it, that would put it into excited is... if this, like, enables me to do something fun that I haven't seen before. And I think, actually, Maha, Its Feathers Knight is not fun.
I mean, it's interesting, but it's...
It's powerful. So...
Remember, build the kind of deck you wouldn't mind losing to. The real meta of the game is getting people to play with you. I say that every time, and I mean it every time.
Yeah, and this is a great example where I think Bolg, without Maha... is a bracket 3 or maybe even bracket 2 deck if you build it with, like, just Lord of the Rings stuff. If you throw in Maha, I think that makes it a bracket 4 deck, and he
Yeah.
doesn't have potential beyond that, trust me. So just keep that in mind. If you throw in Maha, then you have made the deck sweaty. Because the one time where it actually does show up with Maha, or maybe you're tutoring for it, it's gonna be totally nasty for your opponents. And if you lean into Orcs, that could be like bracket 2. If you lean into Goblins, that's probably bracket 3. Because Goblins have so much support.
Remember, ask for consent before playing bracket 4.
Yeah, I mean, just have a conversation beforehand with your opponents about what brackets you're expecting and things like that. And if you want to go bracket 4, include some game changers. You know, bracket 3 includes some game changers. If you want to go bracket 2, leave them out. That kind of thing, you know? I think we maybe spend a little too much time focusing on like building a deck and then seeing what other people say its bracket is. Instead, I think that you should have an idea of what bracket you want to build a deck for first, and then try to align to that, either casual or like hardcore mentality.
And if you haven't been in the hobby long enough to know how the brackets work, you're probably going to end up building bracket 1 regardless.
Oh, not 1. Because 1 is like, I built it bad on purpose. 2 is where almost every deck ends up until you know what you're doing. That said, we're on to Chief of the Wilds.
A gorgeous armored wolf. For 2 mana, a black and a green, you get a 4/4 wolf with menace. Whenever another wolf you control enters, put 2 1/1 counters on Chief of the Wilds.
Whoa.
If an ability of another wolf or battle you control triggers, that ability triggers an additional time. Okay, we want wolves.
With the battles, though? The foreshadowing again.
We want wolves in this deck. We want all of the wolves in this deck.
And we want wolves having enters the battlefield triggers. If an ability of another wolf or battle you control triggers. It is so interesting, though, that, like, the other card that we've seen so far that references battles is really, Bilbo here, is really just in case a battle shows up. This one is saying specifically battles are better for you.
We want battles in this deck.
Yeah, so, okay, that brings up a question.
What do we got for green and black?
Battles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do we got?
Let's find out. Battle and search for them, and let's sort by first off, I want to see, are there new battles? There are not. This is the only one that isn't directly from March of the Machines, and it's a reprint. So instead of release date, then let's look at EDH Rec Rank. What are the best ones? Ooh, Invasion of Ikoria. Yeah, so I think all these invasions have triggered abilities when they enter. See that? When this enters, when this enters,
Holy
when this
crap,
enters,
look
when
at the
this
invasion of Innistrad.
When this battle enters, target creature an opponent controls gets -13/-13 until end of turn. And it's got Flash! Woo!
That's mean. Put it in the deck.
Yeah, actually, we've got only 11 battles. Most of these are probably worth it. Maybe.
And all of them are in the correct colors.
All of them have enters abilities that Chief of the Wilds will double.
Oh wait, we searched for the color specifically. What am
Yes,
I
we
on
did.
about?
That's fine. So Invasion of Ikoria is widely considered to be the best. I see it in decks that don't care about battles or anything like that because it is a tutor. You can tutor for a creature with mana value X or less, as long as it's not a human, and put it on the battlefield. And lots of decks like to do that.
Oh, yes, we do.
I personally played Invasion of Zendikar in a deck for a while because it gets you a couple of lands for the same rate as Explosive Vegetation, which was a classic for a long time. But then if you transform it, it turns into this big elemental guy that taps for mana. And I was playing it in my Raga Draga deck, which cares about mana dorks. So I believe I've cut it since then, but it was kind of good.
All right, so this works quite well. I like how we've got a battle wolf theme going on, and it's committed to the bit.
Yeah, the He-Man movie just came out, and they have a battle cat, but we have a battle wolf. There was another thought that I had, which is there's a really good wolf out there that he's got to compete with, and his name is Voja. Jaws of the Conclave. Can you read this one for us?
Let's see. For 2 mana, a red, a green, and a white, you get a 5/5 wolf with Vigilance, Trample, and Ward 3. Whenever Voja, Jaws of the Conclave, attacks, Put X +1/+1 counters on each creature you control, where X is the number of elves you control. Draw a card for each wolf you control. Okay, this is functionally a Wolf Rider deck.
Yeah, so...
Shout out to ElfQuest.
So first off, vanilla test?
We are passing it.
With flying colors, honestly, this card is busted in half. Because not only do we have a 5-mana 5/5, not only do we have Vigilance and Trample, but Ward 3 is practically hexproof. And this is make your army bigger and draw some cards. And so when we're talking about a wolf deck, this is the main competition.
It looks to me like Voja, Jaws of the Conclave, is, strictly speaking, better, but Chief of the Wilds, I think, is still a strong contender.
What's interesting is Voja has frequently become an elf commander despite being a wolf. And also, if you see your opponent sitting down with Voja, that's pretty much a bracket 4 deck, always. It's super strong. This, I think that you could go seriously just wolves and battles, and you know what? I think this should go in high potential. I'm gonna put in excited.
Woo!
Because also there have been a number of like black wolf cards over the years, and Voja can't play them, and often the wolf theme gets overshadowed by the elf theme. So now you're not going to be overshadowed by the battle theme, but also if sometime in the next like 6 months we start seeing a bunch of battles, Chief of the Wilds is going to be ready for it.
Yeah. So
this seems pretty cool.
Yeah. It's strong now, and it could get stronger later.
Yeah. Let's continue on to... Is it just Dane? I know it's got a... like
Dying?
It's got a mark over the A, so I don't know if you're supposed to pronounce it weird, but
I'm just going to assume it's Dane.
Dane of the Ancient Halls. I don't know.
I don't know what that mark over the A means. I can only pronounce it if it's over the E.
Yeah, usually I would expect it to mean put the emphasis here, but we're already putting the emphasis there on Dane. So, anyway, what does he do?
For 3 mana, a red, and a white, you get a 4/5 Dwarf Noble with Vigilance and Haste. Whenever Dane attacks, he deals damage equal to the number of dwarves you control to each opponent.
The number of dwarves you control, you say? Huh. To each opponent, you say? Huh. That's kind of badass.
Dane is bringing the whole clan over, and they are going to beat you up.
You're playing red and white, so we got 2 colors worth of dwarves to include here, and while most dwarves are red, giving you access to a second color is huge, as it often is. And, you know, not just to include some more dwarves, but also, you know, your swords, your path.
A little extra support.
Yeah, giving you easy ways of, like, destroying enchantments and things like that, when normally red would lack it.
As in Magic... I mean, as with Bras, in Magic, you need at least 2 in order to support things.
Yeah, that helps. And for vanilla tests, we technically fail, but we've got plenty of abilities to help with that. Haste is the big one here. Since he has to attack in order to get his trigger, he's got haste, so the turn that he drops, he will attack. And in red-white, you could easily have played a Mana Rock before turn 5 and get him out on turn 4. And then the number of dwarves you control, honestly, the way that you usually cheat this kind of thing is by having more than 1 dwarf per card. So look for cards that allow you to make dwarf creature tokens and things like that.
Out of curiosity, what kind of options do we have in the realm of the dwarves?
Oh god, a lot. You mean like other commanders or red-white dwarves altogether?
Red-white dwarves altogether, or at least dwarves that are red-white compatible.
Yeah, in fact, I'm actually curious about create dwarf token, okay? Because that's how you break the like 1-to-1 kind of thing, you know? I'm just curious how many of those there are. Oh, there's still 13, including an unexpected party, which is pretty good. Dwarven Hammer, Dwarven Mine. I play in a deck that's mono red just because it can sometimes make me a free dwarf.
Reinforcements.
Okay. So we do have
Feely the Pathfinder, but we'll get to him later.
Oh my god. Magda is a really good commander. She's played in CEDH.
She is mother.
So we've got a handful that that make dwarf tokens. So in theory, that's how you could go more than 1-for-1, even though this is technically one dwarf, this is technically one dwarf. This could be a bunch. This is two. I don't know. But look, consider that. But if we're talking maybe more what you expected to begin with, how many dwarves are there?
Well, less how many, but more like, what do we got?
Okay.
What's the best foot forward on this?
Yeah, and let's look at EDH Rec Rank. So we'll look at the good ones. Oh, Stormkiln Artist is great. Although, Stormkiln Artist is a dwarf that doesn't care about dwarves. He cares about casting instants and sorceries. Sram is a dwarf that doesn't care about dwarves. He cares about casting auras, equipment, and vehicles. Torbran is a dwarf that doesn't care about dwarves, except he cares about red sources dealing damage to opponents. So Torbran, in a Dane deck, he deals damage equal to the number of dwarves you control to each opponent. He will add 2 more to that number on each of those opponents, so that's pretty good.
All right.
So he'll count for 3 dwarves, basically, by himself.
Cousin Torbran is coming to dinner.
Tataru Taru from Final Fantasy 14 is a completely different kind of dwarf. I don't know, she's a little support creature, but good in the 99, I guess. We got more Magdas. Bruenor is pretty cool. Once again, cares about equipment. Yeah, the problem is that a lot of these dwarves don't care about dwarves. They just happen to be dwarves and caring about other things, like enchanting or equipped creatures. This one cares about historic spells. This one cares about legendary creatures. This one cares about instants and sorceries, committing crimes. So Magda is one of the few dwarves that cares about dwarves. But honestly, there's 148 here.
So you have options.
Oh, absolutely. So Dane, I'm going to put him in strong. High potential, you know.
High potential.
I'm going to say he's probably below Bolg because goblins are huge. There's so much support for goblins. But I think that maybe right now is when we have gone over the top on we have enough support for dwarves that you could build a dwarf deck that cares about dwarves, and it's good.
Yeah.
Probably bracket 3. Maybe 2. Next we go on to another dwarf, because of course there's going to be a lot of dwarves in this set. Fili and Kili Joyous.
They're having a great time at Bilbo's house.
Oh yeah.
For 2 mana and a red, you get a 3/3 dwarf bard with haste. For a tap, you can add 2 red mana. Spend it only to cast dwarf equipment and saga spells. Oh, maybe you should put this in the 99 of the Dane deck.
100%. This is an excellent card in the 99 of a dwarf deck. Also good if you're playing equipments or sagas, obviously. So, but sagas, I guess you would maybe put him in the 99 of a deck with the commander, like Joshua, maybe? Does Joshua... Oh, no, never mind. Joshua transforms into a saga, but isn't necessarily a saga deck.
First one that came to my mind was Tom Bombadil.
Yeah, so I thought of that too. Tom Bomb...
Tom Bomb.
Yeah, so Tom Bombadil does encourage you to play lots of sagas. However, being 5 color, the double
That's
red...
tricky.
You know what? It's probably still worth playing, but you might be better off with land ramp that can fix your colors.
Yeah.
Instead of you have red mana, now you have even more red mana. It might be better to just play like Cultivate or something to go get, you have green mana, go get red and white mana.
But anyway, how would these two do leading their own army?
How did I get the alphabet so wrong on them?
I do not know. I worry about your reading comprehension.
Well, I think they go roughly here. I think that they are excellent in the dwarf deck, which is just finally being a thing. I think Bilbo might be slightly better in that making a treasure for free when you're already doing a food thing is excellent, but this is very good. Bilbo, honestly, this version of Bilbo, I'm still considering even knocking him down to lame, but...
Ouch.
Yeah, watch out, you're on the borderline. But Fili and Kili, and I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it, because
Yes.
we have the accent marks on the first syllable this time, so you could pronounce it Philly and Killy, but I think it's Fili and Kili.
That's how I heard them pronounced in the audiobook.
And I think in the movie, too. But honestly, this card's pretty great in the right deck. And I think the right deck is definitely something like Dane. Okay. So, next we have
Gandalf.
Party Guest. This is the most chill Gandalf out of them all, somehow. Is that wine? That might be wine.
Is. You also know he smoked a blunt before coming over.
I just realized he has like a tiny goblet, but it's because he's a full-sized man, and no one else in the room is.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, what does he do?
For 1 mana, a blue, a red, and a white, you get a 3/4 Avatar Wizard.
Oh, yeah.
At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may cast an instant or sorcery spell with mana value X or less from your hand without paying its cost, where X is twice the number of legendary wizards you control. So at least 2.
So what's strange here is that, oh yeah, X is twice the number of legendary wizards. So even with just Gandalf on the battlefield, you can cast a instant or sorcery spell for 2 mana or less for free.
That's Path, that's Counterspell.
But, okay, let's just do a quick search here. White, blue, red...
Wizards.
Wizard, and he specifically cares about legendary wizards, which I think is pretty cool, considering how many legendary creatures they've been printing in recent years.
We are definitely going to see Vivi in this deck. We love Vivi.
In a bracket 4, you definitely are. Oh, it's interesting, once again, that the number 1 legendary wizard is Emery, Lurker of the Loch? I mean, she's played in CEDH, and she's good in, like, mill artifact decks, but it's weird to me, considering you would not usually play her in a wizard deck. You might play Niv Mizzet in a wizard deck. You might play Talrand, considering, yeah, you will get free Drakes when you cast those free spells, so that's pretty good. Veyron gets you extra triggers whenever you cast instant or sorcery, so that's pretty good. Vivi! Oh my god, I'm actually really surprised that Vivi is not even a game changer right now. He's far and away one of the most powerful commanders printed in the last year or two. Nadu got banned outright, but Vivi gets to stay in bracket 2. It's just fine, huh?
I thought Nadu got banned for referencing commanders directly?
Nadu got banned for having a play pattern that takes a long time to execute. It's very confusing. So it's not just powerful, but it's also very confusing and time-consuming. So it has like 4 things that are rough about it.
Vivi's invited to party with Gandalf, I think that's cute.
I think Vivi should be a game changer, but regardless, Gandalf has how many? 141 guests 141 to invite to the party
with.
And by the way, how many Gandalfs does that include?
Let's count them.
1, 2, 3. No.
4, 5.
Wait.
Wrong
color. Yep.
Yeah, wrong color.
Okay. So 4, 5, 6. Himself. 7, 8, 9. Okay, he can invite 9 other versions of himself to the party.
He can invite himself 9 times!
He can practically do the unexpected journey all by himself. And of course, you could throw in a Saruman or 2, I think, as well. Let's see. Not this one.
Nope.
Not that one.
Nope.
This one.
That one? That's one.
Yeah. Okay,
That's
only
it.
that one.
He only sent out 1 invite because he's kind of hoping he won't make it.
I mean, at this point in The Hobbit, he wouldn't know any better, so he probably would invite Saruman the White. But, okay, so I think that he... Okay, here's the weird thing. I'm going to put him here.
Do tell.
Okay, he does get you access to a bunch of colors. He does tell you play legendary wizards. He also tells you get spells for free. What spells? What are you going to do with it? It could be all kinds of great stuff, but lacking a bit in focus, doesn't have a defensive ability. This isn't card advantage, it is mana advantage. So, and the legendary wizards don't necessarily synergize with each other too well. So I think it is actually a little tricky to build a Gandalf deck where you just, I don't know, throw in all the Gandalfs and some other wizards and stuff. And is that a good deck? I don't know.
It's an interesting deck.
You also have to balance the number of legendary wizards with the number of instants and sorceries. And what number are you going to count on getting? You know?
That's
By
the real
himself,
question here.
yeah, by himself, he gets you 2. So does that mean you pack your deck with 2 mana or less instants and sorceries? Probably not. Are you counting on getting 2 wizards and therefore you pack your deck full of 4s? Or do you play a variety? If so, it starts to push out some of the wizards. I'm going to put him under questionable because I think that the deck building process is not straightforward and is going to end up with a bit of a balancing game where you've got 2 different elements competing against each other in a 3-color deck. So that could be kind of tricky.
I still think he should go near the top of questionable because...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
I mean...
little bit questionable, but probably fine.
I think it kind
Give
of
or
is
take.
possible to do him wrong, but even when you're doing him wrong, he'll still be pretty good. So, next we have another Gandalf, Shadow's Foe.
Rah! For 5 mana and double blue, you get a 3/4 Avatar Wizard with Vigilance. When Gandalf enters, exile up to 3 target lands you control, then return them to the battlefield tapped under their owner's control. And Landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, draw a card and put a 1/1 counter on Gandalf. Oh, so that's why he does that. So he's giving
this
himself...
is super weird.
He's giving himself up to 3 counters right off the bat and getting you to draw 3 cards.
Yeah, so, I mean, this is a perfect example of where the vanilla test will throw you a bit for the loop, because it looks like he should be a 7-mana 7/7, and he's not. But he's a 7-mana 6/7 with Vigilance, and the lands that get flickered out and then returned to the battlefield, they could have some other effects, possibly. They do return tapped, so it's not like you're getting mana back for him.
No.
But also, there are landfall strategies in blue-green in this set, but in mono-blue, this is tricky.
This is probably what's hampering him the most.
Yeah, in fact, I think that's why I would put him in questionable, not because this effect isn't powerful, but because the support for landfall in mono-blue is kind of minimal.
That is some wicked cool art, though.
Oh, yeah. But I compare him a bit to Maloku, the Clouded Mirror,
Ooh.
a classic commander from Champions of Kamigawa. Could you read this one for us?
For 4 mana and a blue, you get a 2/4 Moonfolk Wizard with Flying. For 1 mana and returning a land you control to its owner's hand, you can create a 1/1 blue illusion creature token with Flying.
Yeah, I mean, 100% of this card were printed today, it would be like 1 mana less, or maybe more than 1 mana less, or it would have more toughness or something like that. But this was printed originally back in 2004, and Champions of Kamigawa block is known for being a little underpowered, in part because it came between a couple of sets that were kind of overpowered, and at the time they were trying to balance standard by like kind of overcorrecting one way and overcorrecting the other way. They did that back and forth. So unfortunately, a lot of cards from... The majority of cards from Kamigawa block are kind of trash garbage, but there are some standouts. Maloku does encourage you to play lands, bounce them to make illusions, play lands again, bounce them to make illusions. You know, so you could kind of do a mono blue landfall deck with Maloku. I think that you probably put Gandalf in a Maloku deck and Maloku in a Gandalf deck, just so that you can trigger those things multiple times. But really, without green allowing you to play those lands extra, you're going to have a hard time. You need something like, is it Patron of the Moon?
Whoa! That is one freaky looking rabbit.
Yep. For 1 mana, put up to 2 land cards from your hand into play tapped. Or on the battlefield tapped. So this card's nuts, but like you gotta sacrifice some Moonfolk in order to get that cost down, like maybe Maloku. Or you could play Walking Atlas. Oh god, right. They haven't reprinted Walking Atlas ever. It's funny because they forgot to put the word artifact on this artifact creature when they printed it. But anyway, it taps to put a land from your hand onto the battlefield. Okay, cool. If you're not playing green, maybe you need this kind of effect. But all that said, I think it's pretty solidly unquestionable for that. As we move on to the next, Great Goblin Foul-Hearted. Now, my most experience with this whole thing is from the movies, where the Great Goblin is humongous and fat.
And has a beard made of fat.
And
then
voiced by Stephen Fry.
And he's also singing "This Old Man Went Rolling Home," but with different lyrics.
Yeah.
I remember watching the first movie and I was like, I know that song. Down in the deep of rolling home. Oh my god.
Yeah. There's a number of kind of cringe things about those movies. I feel like 3 movies was a bit much. But regardless, what does this one do?
For 3 mana, a black and a red, you get a 3/3 Goblin Noble. Whenever Great Goblin enters or attacks, amass Goblins 3. Armies you control have trample.
Now, we were just talking a little bit ago about how they probably made whatever set this is a little simpler on purpose for newer players. But then they didn't put in reminder text for Amass Goblins 3, which this is the only set that has Amass Goblins in it. So, Amass Goblins means if you don't already have an army, you create a 0/0 Goblin army token. And then you put 3+1/+1 counters on any army you control, and it becomes a Goblin army.
Yep.
If it wasn't already. So, amassing is a pretty cool mechanic, but it's like go tall, like a Voltron kind of thing. We often call it go tall, where you're trying to make a creature really big, but it's not your commander itself that you're trying to make big, it's the army. And it has some of the vulnerabilities that Voltron often has, of like one stray removal spell could set you way back, but it not being your commander. Instead, it's this guy who gets you 3 more Amass Goblins when he enters or attacks, and gives the big old thing trample. I think this is pretty good.
Yeah.
And this is another one where the vanilla test is a little deceptive, because 5 mana here, 5 power toughness does not have down there. But amassing Goblins 3, basically another creature that's a 3/3, add them together, you get 6/6.
So it's actually pretty cost effective.
Yeah. If this guy dies, recast him. He enters again, he amasses again. And, you know, I think that the tricky part is just making it so that this guy can regularly attack as a 3/3, because if your opponent has like a 4/4, they could block this thing forever. So you just want to include a couple of things like Brotherhood Regalia comes to mind. Blah, 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 and can't be blocked. And equips a legendary creature for 1 while costing 2. So this Assassin's Creed card is kind of pushed. If you don't like Assassin's Creed cards, how about Doctor Who cards?
Psychic Paper!
The Psychic Paper does blah, 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 and it can't be blocked. And also is an equipment that costs 2 and, you know, equips for very little. It gives ward 1, and you can change the creature's name and creature type if you want, but you don't have to. You can keep it the same. So Psychic Paper and Brotherhood Regalia are strangely some of the best equipment to put on the Great Goblin, so you can continually attack with them and keep amassing.
Oh my god, I just realized that you could... I mean, all 3 of these things are universes beyond. And
Yep.
you could totally turn... You can make a deck that's basically a crackfic. What if Assassin's Creed were in Lord of the Rings? No!
You could put Patrick Star in there. You literally could, but being Barktooth Warbeard, a human warrior with no abilities, he would not be worth playing.
No, he would
Especially
not.
since vanilla test.
Yeah, no.
Failing hard, and this is the...
And he's got no other offsetting factors, so
This is one
why?
of the only creatures where we've done the vanilla test because they are vanilla. The original version of him back in Legends was uncommon. Back when creatures were not as powerful as they are today. I talked about Kamigawa block being kind of weak. Legend block is even more all over the place. Some nasty stuff in there, but also some stuff that does nothing. So,
So where are we putting this guy?
I think he's high potential. I feel like putting him about here.
Ooh, higher than Dane.
Well, that's the tough thing is, you know what? No. I'm going to put him below Dane just because amassing is something that is fairly niche, but I think there is enough support if you're willing to go, you know, fight for it.
Do your research.
Does get advantage from a lot of the Goblin tribal stuff that Bolg does. However, you know, actually building a dwarf deck here I think is going to be a little more rewarding. So, yeah,
Well,
it's
to
a
be
toss-up,
fair-
though. It's kind of a toss-up.
To be fair, I think most folks would rather hang out with dwarves than with goblins.
Yeah, I mean, dwarves can be stinky. Goblins are real stinky.
Goblins are doing it on purpose.
Oh, yeah. Next, though, we have Ori, Plate Stacker.
Okay, someone who's being polite at this function.
You would think that, if you read them.
For 5 mana and double white, you get a 3/3 dwarf bard. When Ori enters, destroy all artifacts and enchantments your opponents control. You gain 1 life for each permanent destroyed this way. So he'll break your dishes and steal your life.
Yeah, well, he gains life. You don't lose it, but yeah, he'll break all your dishes, and he'll, like, shove them under a rug or something. So he's stacking them up. He maybe thinks he's doing something nice for you, but maybe he's too clumsy, or I don't know what his deal is.
He
But yeah,
tried.
he will break all your crap. You don't want this guy as a commander. 7 mana with no way around it, no.
No.
Mono white, no.
No.
No keywords or
No.
anything. Failing the vanilla test, no.
No, he's much better in the 99, where he can act kind of as a pseudo-bomb.
100%. He reminds me a lot of, can I remember the name of it? It's Bane of Progress. That's the one. It reminds me a lot of Bane of Progress. If you could read this one for us.
For 4 mana and double green, you get a 2/2 elemental. When this creature enters, destroy all artifacts and enchantments. Put a 1/1 counter on this creature for each permanent destroyed this way.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, it is similar.
It has literally the same effect, but for, 1 less mana. And instead of gaining life, he makes the Bane of Progress large. So Ori could gain you like 7, 8 life, something like that. That could be pretty good. Bane of Progress could be a 10/10.
Oh, and the Bane of Progress is also going to destroy your crap in addition to your opponent's.
Oh, wait, it does... Oh, this is... Okay, so this is a one-sided... That does make it worth it. Okay. Thank you for catching that, because I almost missed... Bane of Progress does indeed blow up your own artifacts and enchantments, which can be fine if you don't... Like, if you're playing Bane of Progress, the idea is that you're not going to miss your artifacts and enchantments as much as your opponents are.
At least not by the time this guy shows up.
But with Ori, you could 100% be playing an equipment deck or an aura deck or something like this. Drop this guy, just annihilate your opponents. I mean, I would hope that you then turn this around into a win, because you're blowing up some, like, Norn's Annex or Crawl Space or something, you know. Some stuff stopping you from killing them. So put this at the top end of your curve. Make sure to have, like, a little bit of ramp or something. You could put him in a dwarf deck, like with Dane, or you could put him in some deck that isn't dwarves, and it could still be very strong.
But don't have him be your commander.
Oh, but for sure, don't have him be your commander. But let's go on to Smaug the Impenetrable, which, to me, it looks like it's zoomed in a little too far.
Smaug the ironically named.
What? Okay, go ahead.
For 5 mana, a black and a red, you get an 8/7 dragon with flying, indestructible, and haste. Whenever Smaug is dealt non-combat damage, create that many treasure tokens.
Yeah. So first off, vanilla test.
Passed. With flying colors.
Flying colors.
Indestructible, and haste colors.
Absolutely. I mean, look, if he had no text in the text box, he would technically pass more than, like, Patrick Star does. But wouldn't you know it, he has some of the best words in Magic on him. Haste and flying are excellent, and indestructible is amazing. And then what's that? Ability to make treasure tokens? Boy, I wonder, are treasure tokens good?
They're a kind of ramp, and ramp is compatible with everything. Mm-hmm. It's like the color black. It's like the little black dress of magic.
Ooh, I like it.
Thank you.
So now the trick is, how are you going to deal Smaug non-combat damage? Ooh, that's pretty tough. Well, if you're
Can't
playing
leave that
red,
to chance.
yeah, I mean, it could happen, but also Blasphemous Act is literally the most played red card in Commander, and he'll deal 13 damage to him, and because he is indestructible, it will not kill him, and you will make 13 treasures. Tapped treasures? No. Untapped treasures. How much are you paying for Blasphemous Act? Usually 1. So this is not Blasphemous Act anymore. This is Blasphemous Act plus, like, Mana Geyser, making you, like, 12 mana. Okay? Nuts. Chain Reaction is another fairly popular red board wipe spell.
Whee!
Well, that looks fun, actually. Stay on the stage. Notices posted during Summit Fest. Oh yeah, geez, if you're gonna crowd surf, definitely don't be a Loxodon.
No!
But this deals X damage to each creature where X is the number of creatures on the battlefield, and you know what kind of numbers of creatures can get on the battlefield sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Large numbers, so turn that 4 into like 13 treasures or something. So that seems pretty good, but you might not know it, but it gets better.
What?
It gets better. You can play this card, Pestilence, which was originally printed back in Alpha. Let's see if we can read this card from Alpha.
For 2 mana and double black, you get an enchantment. You pay 1 more black to do 1 damage to each creature and... Oh, you pay black to do 1 damage to each creature and to both players. Pestilence must be discarded at the end of any turn in which there are no creatures in play at the end of turn.
Okay.
No one to infect, plague dies.
So first off, looking back at alpha and beta cards, I sometimes feel like it's someone who speaks English going back and reading a book that's in Old English, like Beowulf or something.
Right, this was before they refined the language of magic.
Yeah, or anything before Shakespeare, really. You know, where it's like, are you sure this is the same language that I'm used to? In this case, it's not as obvious, saying, like, to both players instead of each player. But, when we get back to the mechanics, though, this says, for 1 mana, hurt everyone and make 1 mana.
Yeah.
Which means, with that new mana, you can do it again, and with that new mana, you can do it again, so you can literally pay any amount of mana. And usually the drawback where you would lose this creature, or this enchantment, is at the end of a turn if there are no creatures on the battlefield. But of course he's got Indestructible! So it's not a problem. So you 100% play Pestilence in this deck, and you just, like, board wipe everybody and get everybody down to, like, you know, 8 life or so, and then smack them with a dragon.
Yeah.
And is this a one-off? Why, no, it's not.
Uh-oh.
When we searched for Pestilence a minute ago, we found Pestilence Demon, which has exactly the same effect, but he is a creature. Granted, in this case, if you do it 6 times, he kills himself, which I think is honestly a really clever design. Pestilence Rats, I don't know. But you've also got Pyrohemia, which is
Fireblood.
Just literally exactly the same card, but it's red.
Yep.
So wouldn't you know it, you can play them both. Smaug the Impenetrable is busted in half. So, maybe there. He's so crazy. And he's part of a scene box, which is why if you put the whole scene together, it looks right. But to me, with the like blotches of color here, it really does seem like they zoomed in on the art too far. I almost feel like maybe this wasn't what they intended as the scene box art for him, but I don't know. Who could say? We gotta move on, though.
Yep, we got 3 left.
Thorin, company's leader. One of like 5 Thorins or something. This is the one that's just red.
Fun fact, Tolkien was actually stealing the names of all the dwarves and a fair number of the characters in general from the Poetic Edda, which is the primary source we have for everything we know about Norse mythology. Seriously, there are whole parts of it where they just list off the names of all the dwarves, and it's like, hang on, I recognize these names.
Yeah, aren't like Fili and Kili in there and stuff?
Fili and Kili are in there. Gandalf is in there.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Not even kidding.
Well, I do know that The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings were originally intended to be a mythology for ancient Britain that Tolkien felt was missing. That he wanted to put something back to, like, King Arthur and before. Feeling like other nations in, like, Mesopotamia and Asia and the rest of Europe had older cultures than England did. And so he wanted to come up with this stuff. And I guess he did source the Poetic Edda for some of it.
Very much so.
Mm-hmm. Well, that said, what does he do?
For 4 mana and a red, you get a 4/5 Dwarf Warrior. Whenever a dwarf you control deals combat damage to a player or battle, create 2 treasure tokens. And if you pay 10 mana, creatures you control gain double strike until end of turn. That guy is definitely getting to Dane's Cookout.
Oh, yeah, 100%. So, oh no, Dane Cook.
That was not intentional.
No, don't go to Dane Cook's Cookout. I don't think so.
I think something tells me there would be a lot of Monster Energy drink and not enough food.
Yeah, and Four Loko and stuff. So I think a 5-mana commander is maybe not what you want in a monocolor, coming out kind of late, even though you could ramp into him a bit with your Seething Songs and stuff like that, and a little bit of mana rocks. I still think, and then you have to have a dwarf deal combat damage to a player in order to make these treasures. These abilities are very powerful, but they require you to jump through the 5-mana hoop, the dwarves hit players hoop, and the 10-mana hoop. So I do think that he does not make sense as your dwarf commander.
No.
Even though it says company leader. And where do I think he goes in the 99? I think he goes here, actually, below Feely and Keely.
Ouch.
Because Feely and Keely will help enable you to do all kinds of things. Thorin, I think, will be the payoff for Feely and Keely.
Okay.
But that's going to be useful in, like, every game with Dane. And this will be useful, hopefully, if you get to the point where you have, like, 8 dwarves and it's like, all right, let's finish them off. Yeah, I mean, there's just a huge gulf of power between Thorin here, which I think is a great finisher, honestly, to Bilbo, which I'm not really seeing the point of. 4 mana is too much. Having to deal combat damage in order to trigger the thing. Pseudo Skulk. Nah, never mind. Mono white. But we go on to the version of Thorin that is multicolor. Let's see if he's any better.
For 3 mana, a red and a white, you get a 4/4 Dwarf Noble. Whenever Thorin or another dwarf you control enters, create a treasure token. Other dwarves you control get +1/+0 for each artifact token you control.
Oh, that's good. Oh, that's good.
And we've got another one for the cookout.
Mm-hmm. So, 5 mana I was saying before, a little tricky, but let's see, the other version of Thorin, okay, a little stronger in terms of power and toughness, is a 4/5 instead of 4/4. But still, this one, when Thorin or another dwarf enters, you make a treasure, as opposed to hitting and you make 2. Way easier mark to meet, first off. Second off, if he is your commander, then you can play a much bigger variety of not just dwarves, but spells generally. I've been talking about that, you know it. But then, your dwarves get +1/+0 for each artifact token you control. That is nuts.
Give them their axes.
That is nuts. I mean, okay, let's talk about...
I mean, the Dwarven Hammer is the first one that comes to my mind.
Oh yeah, the Dwarven Hammer?
Yeah, this one.
Well, this doesn't make an artifact token. It makes a dwarf token.
But it is an artifact, and it cares about dwarves.
Yes, although this only cares about artifact tokens you control.
Okay.
So, close. You know, so the first thing that comes to my mind here, strangely enough, is Brass's Bounty, which is a card that I often think about, like, I could pay 7 mana into this in order to get 7 treasures, probably. That's not good enough. You need to be paying, like, 7 mana for 10 treasures or something, right? Well, in this situation, you can pay 7 mana for 7 treasures, and then swing with all your dwarves for an additional +7 per dwarf.
That's incredible.
Not to mention that each dwarf entering gives you a rebate of a treasure and an extra power. This thing's incredible. This is honestly going to be really competing with Dane for which is the better commander. They both cost 5. They're both in red and white. This one makes you treasures. This one, you know, I would actually lean maybe towards Thorin, because this will help facilitate everything else that the deck is trying to do by making you treasures all the time. This one, the benefit of playing all those dwarves is dealing damage to your opponents, which is great. You do want to do that. That is how you will win the game. But this will more facilitate every other card in your deck working well. So I think Thorin's slightly better than Dane. Good job, King of Durin's Folk. as we go on to the last new card from the Commander mini set, the Eternal set or whatever, Thranduil the Strategist.
For 3 mana, a green, and a blue, you get a 4/4 Elf Noble. Other elves you control have tap, add green or blue. Elves do this a lot anyway.
Yeah.
And we've also got Landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, create a 1/1 green elf creature token.
This
Elves take over everything.
This is pretty good. I mean, elves do frequently have the ability to tap for green, but in the Lord of the Rings sets, elves have also been blue, which makes a lot of sense. They
Right,
do
we've got Rivendell,
deal
we've
with,
got
like,
Mirkwood.
yeah, dreams and prophecy and things like that, and they're more like controlling and ponderous. These elves. So I think it makes perfect sense. And so this enables your elves to not just make green, but also make blue mana, which helps you include, I think, a lot of elves that aren't from Lord of the Rings in your Lord of the Rings elf deck. And then landfall to make an elf, and then that elf will also make mana. I mean, landfall is one of the easiest strategies in Simic, one of the easiest colors. I mean, AC is possibly the easiest commander to build, in that you just play lands a lot and you draw cards and you get to do it more, and just it doesn't matter what the rest of your deck is, as long as you've got at least 38 lands, then you're gonna do great.
It's basically Jormungandr, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's originally from Commander Legends, which I think is right around the time that they started working on Kaldheim, the Norse-inspired set.
Ooh.
Yeah. I hope that we return to Kaldheim someday. Of course,
too.
we do have literal Jormungandr in Koma the Cosmos Serpent and Koma the World Eater,
Yep.
but that's getting off topic. So, elves are already a great theme. It doesn't draw you cards, though. And it does make you mana, which is something that elves are already good at. So you do need to put in plenty of card draw. You're in blue-green, though, the easiest color combination to do that. In fact, I think you basically just put, like, AC and some of these other cards, like Tatiova and stuff, in the 99. And you can play extra lands and draw extra cards, and ta-da, you're off to the races.
Elves swarm everything.
This deck is honestly kind of easy mode. So I don't love it, but I think I'm actually going to put it above Bard. I think these two are very similar in a way, in that they both are just kind of solid. It's hard to go wrong, but in both cases it's also like kind of stuff that people have seen before. If you're an experienced Magic player, it's not going to make too many waves except literal ones.
Not very exciting, but solid.
Mm-hmm. Whereas these two, I think, are genuinely exciting. Smaug is probably going to be a bracket 3 or bracket 4 monster. I don't know about CEDH. I'm skeptical, honestly, because, yeah, probably not. The only card up there in CEDH is what they call Chunky, which is Itali, where when it enters, it gets a free spell off of everyone's deck. So possibly 4 free spells. This is not that, even though they have the same mana cost. So I don't think CEDH, but still monstrously powerful. And Chief of the Wilds makes you a good wolf deck that doesn't get sidetracked by elves, and also does get sidetracked by battles, but there's only like 11 you could play, and you'll probably not play all of them. And then you still got plenty of room for wolves and, you know, to take down those battles. So this seems really fun. These ones are solid. These ones are pretty good, but they need a little extra support. These ones are great in the 99, and I think Bilbo down here is the only one that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense.
Should have stayed home.
Yeah. If you weren't expecting an adventure, maybe you shouldn't have gone on one. Just saying. So with that said, we have covered all of the non-standard legal commanders from this set.
And this is probably going to be the shortest video and the smallest tier list we've had in quite some time. Thank you so much, Marvel.
Oh, God, yeah. I mean, there are 60 legendary creatures, 60 cards that can be your commander in the Hobbit sets together. And we've done the shorter one today. Whereas there were like 360 in the Marvel sets. At the time of recording, this set is about to release. It obviously just got spoiled, and we are about to publish our last video in the Marvel set because it took us so long to make them all. So pretty nuts. And honestly, I went off a little longer than we absolutely had to because of it. But I think that I've spoke enough, though, for today. So with that, I think we'll catch you in the standard legal Hobbit cards next.
Bye bye!